Welcome, everyone, to the Ghost Train. I will be your host, Marcus Diaz. With me today is my awesome co host, Mr. James Gustina.
Up, guys?
There he is. Hey, guys, a little different setup than normal. I'm downstairs in the living room with my computer, but we have a lot of people over, or my roommate does. So if I was going to do the show downstairs, I was going to get nothing but like big thunderfoot stomping on the upstairs. So now I'm in like the back room, which is like my girlfriend's special room here. And I totally forgot about him, but I think James and I decided he's going to be part of the show from now on. So he's a really big bear, and I figured we need to give him a name. So you guys leave a name down in the comments below what you think that guy's name should be. We were thinking something like referencing the Bears cage, like this is the Bears cage or something like that, but it's kind of corny. I don't know. We'll
Something
let you
wildly
guys decide.
appropriate.
Yeah,
Something wildly
something
appropriate would be good.
something extremely inappropriate is really awesome because we're not exactly the most appropriate show on the internets. So, all right, James. Well, today we're going to talk about a few setups from the days past. A couple of very interesting and very big days in May of 2003, which is kind of a year that I know last time we did this, I kind of was like, well, I don't remember any other days from 2003, but then the more I thought about it, the more I remember that May was actually a very, very potent month in the year 2003. Also, we're going to be revisiting a day which I'm sure several people that watch the show may have remembered, May 19th, 2012, the day of several landspout tornadoes, which is a very interesting day in south central Kansas, and James will be taking over. He's going to discuss with us all these different days. So, James, why don't we go ahead and take it over to you, bro?
All right. We're just gonna hop right into it. The first day we have up is May 4th of 2003. Big high risk day. It was the first in a string of tornado days from the 4th all the way up to the 10th, which the 10th being that final day in Illinois that produced really big, gnarly tornadoes out here in eastern Iowa and western Illinois. And so this day, I mean, pretty much as run-of-the-mill as you can get. Classic textbook tornado outbreak. I mean, big high risk, huge moderate over almost all of Missouri. And the biggest storm of the day ended up being down here right in that southeast corner of Kansas and produced not only the Girard tornado, which was the F4, but also produced a very long track violent tornado with accompanying satellite tornadoes into Missouri and another F3 and a few more smaller tornadoes before it completely moved out of Springfield's warning area, as well as two other storms that would produce an F3 near Columbus and another one east of Joplin near Pierce City that moved almost just south of Springfield. So this day, like I said, it was about as textbook as you can get. You know, you really kind of deep amplified pattern here. You can see kind of a less amplified trough. The main upper level low was way up here in Canada, but you have really strong winds and a decent jet max ejecting out here over the southern plains and into southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma. And this day, I mean, you had really strong moisture return the day of. You can see really good moisture transport from the Gulf and northern Mexico all the way up here to about Nebraska into Missouri, and really strong low-level dynamics. Southeast winds at 12Z, just up there in the boundary layer, over 45 to 50 knots. And this day was really kind of interesting because everything kind of went all up at once. It was a big kind of jumbled mess of storms, and storms were moving very fast, and you can see kind of this big arcing loop of conjunction out here all along this warm front. And then further along in the day, there was a dry line extending here across eastern Kansas down through Oklahoma where these storms would go up. And kind of just going to step forward here in the radar loop, and you can start to see convective initiation up north, kind of some junky convection up there by Kansas City. And keep in mind, Girard is down here, Joplin's right around here-ish, and these storms went up very quickly. I mean, this is, so let's say 2034 Z, and this storm's already up and is producing a tornado at 2130 Z.
Right there, a string of pearls, man. It's what every chaser looks for.
Yep, and it's all these say, semi-discrete. I mean, yeah, they're kind of a little bit jumbled together all along this dry line. It's kind of a weird oriented dry line, northeast to southwest, but it still got the job done. And as these storms move through, they matured. You can see there's I believe this is the Girard supercell right there. Then here's the storm that would produce the F3 east of Joplin, or west of Joplin. And then the next supercell to produce would be right here, and
By
produce that.
the way, did that storm there in western Arkansas, if you go back, did that produce a tornado? Because that's pretty discreet and kind of out there in no man's land near Fort Smith.
Yeah. Let me see. I think it actually did. Oh no, it didn't. It produced only wind and hail reports along that track, and then I guess more storms produced tornadoes further east into Arkansas.
Yeah, I think that was more of a night, I believe.
Yep, and you can see also, but here's that huge concentration of tornado reports on those three supercells down there in southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri. And
Now, it's
also,
interesting though. Is that tornado reports right there on the cold front in western Kansas? Or am I?
out here,
Yeah,
actually, I haven't checked that. I believe, let's see if there are any storms.
it looked red to me. Well, you can see it when you look through there. Some cold front storms out there in western Kansas, right about there.
I guess it must have been, that was 2204. Let's see when that report was.
Which is really interesting. That's kind of the area where during chasing you don't really want to go and target is out there on the cold front because that cold front's probably sweeping in pretty hard and that'll really undercut the day. So
So 2059Z. Can I go back
Scott
here?
City, yeah.
Yep.
So
So,
very interesting day. That's a very potent day. Kind of reminiscent to April 27th or was it 28th this last year? The big high risk in Arkansas, but the string of pearls along the dry line in eastern Kansas.
yes, it really, and I mean, these storms, when you look at them, I think I have it up on the image archive. So this is convective initiation took place here around 1930Z up north in Kansas City. You kind of see the first whispers of it down here.
Mhm.
And front's all the way back here. Dry line somewhere in this area right in there.
We can see
And
that initiation further west on that dry line, but yeah, definitely.
a step forward, and there's the Girard supercell right there.
Yeah, that was. Look at all that clean air down to the south of it too. Just nothing to interfere with it. And that had a lot of area to work with.
I say right there, it's probably starting to produce because I mean that's 2115, and then all these storms start moving off to the east, and you can see kind of little fluffs there at the top above the anvil, right above the updraft tower, and yeah, they had a lot of clear air to work with all the way into Missouri ahead of this stratus deck that was further east. And this day, I mean, just everything about it was right. Looking at the sounding, I was showing Marcus earlier. If it'll load up, the shear on the 12Z Topeka sounding was
Impressive.
easily one of the most insane-looking profiles I believe I've ever seen. It was just true. It was like a perfect fish hook almost. And further east, the Topeka didn't have a chance to sample the thermodynamic environment after these storms had gone up, but the Springfield sounding from 0Z also shows a pretty unstable air mass and pretty decent sized cape for early May. And right here you can see that huge looping hodograph in the lower. This is the lowest 1 kilometer of the atmosphere, and over here you can see it 50 knots just below 850 out of the south, a little bit out of the southwest, and then about 30 out of the southeast, right at the surface, just curling all the way back up.
Yeah, very great turning with height on that day, just from looking at that sounding.
Yep, and you go to 0Z and then head over here to Springfield. This is after storms have gone up and we're starting to move into the Joplin area. And Springfield's about 2 counties east of Joplin. If it'll pull up here. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, 2,555 joules per kilogram surface cape, over 3,000 mixed layer, which is probably a better measure of what this environment was like. Almost not dry, it's a little bit closer to dry adiabatic, lapse rate between 0 to 700 millibars, which is really, really good for storms moving into that environment. Kind of saturated profile there, but really didn't make a difference in how those storms appeared. But at the same time, with this ejecting jet here, at 0Z, these storms were going extraordinarily fast. I'm talking probably 50 miles an hour in early May on the plains, which is pretty surprising. And actually have some video from this day from Mike Thies, who got the. You can see the insane motion on this tornado when it pops on the screen. This is the Gerard F4, big, big, fast-moving tornado.
What I'm going to start do while we watch this, guys that are watching, what we're going to start doing, or at least what I'm going to start doing, is every time we kind of link one of these, I'm going to put the little links in the video. What the hell do you call those? Annotations to the actual link of the video. So as you're watching and you want to watch the actual video, we're going to link it to you guys so you can have just one click away from this video, because this is a really impressive video. There's a lot of, I mean, just a very violent tornado kind of ripping through there. It does get a little hairy with some low contrast, but yeah, you could see that really nice mesocyclone above it, just twisting away.
It's a big barrel.
Big, big barrel tornado.
So, and a little bit earlier in that video, you could see the left to right motion was pretty fast on that thing. It was going light speed.
Yeah, the forward motion is pretty impressive too. Yeah, if you watch it, it really moves pretty quickly. And I mean, I know we're watching this through the stream, and it's a little jumpy, but even just through here, you could see it sucking upward pretty hard. Just that vertical motion was pretty violent. Oh man, yeah, that looks a lot like a lot of those very violent Kansas tornadoes. You can look at that tornado and go, I see Andover in there. I see yeah, April 14th. What day was that? So the Salina.
Yeah, that was April 14th, 2012.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tornadoes that look like that are just extremely violent, and
amazingly enough, this wasn't even the longest track tornado of the supercell. This was easily the most violent, but it didn't comparatively it didn't last that long. That other tornado, that F3 that spat out right after this one, I think traversed over 7 or 8 counties. You can see there's some debris getting blown across the field there and drawn in through the inflow. And you can see here all clear back here, big clear slot probably just above this tornado as it's starting to, go towards its dissipation stage.
I gotta imagine there's a lot of wind damage on the backside of that in the RFD area.
So with that,
I mean, just the fast storm motion, along with the tornado being that strong. I mean, that rear flank downdraft had to have been something else.
And these are also likely pretty big, wet rear flank downdraft. These are they're kind of on the more HP side of classic, and really moist, wet RFDs, probably decently warm too, which would have helped aid in tornado genesis, because cold, it doesn't matter if your RFD is moist if it's colder than hell, but probably really helped some of these supercells produce bigger long track tornadoes. And if we kind of go back here, I think it's here it is. So here's the 0Z charts. So I saw here the 500. This trough had become negatively tilted, and the jet streak was ejecting out across the plains and through Missouri into the Midwest. And moisture axis has started to shift east. You still have kind of southwesterly 850s still advecting moisture up out of the Gulf here, out of Texas. And the low-level winds were, I think, at 0Z pretty spectacular, ramping up there with the low-level jet.
Let's calm down, because everyone's so terrified of southwesterly 850s. We might scare them off. We might
really,
watch something else.
That's kind of the biggest fallacy, I guess, of but definitely out here where your source region for that air coming into the boundary layer is going to be, the arid areas of New Mexico, Arizona, Chihuahua, northern Mexico. You definitely have to worry about southwest 850s drawing in really dry air over your dry line, kind of mixing out moisture aloft in a bad way. But once you get to
say Chihuahua again.
Chihuahua.
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 Come on, man. Haven't you watched those Taco Bell commercials? God. Anyway.
You know what? I can't keep up on all your new hip trends, all right? I'm only 20. Jeez.
Oh, man, hip trends. Oh, yeah, that's right. Taco Bell dog probably way before your time.
I vaguely remember it. Vaguely.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
I remember that dog used to scare me, actually. It was kind of a freaky
Oh
dog.
man, are you one of those that are just terrified of Chihuahuas?
I'm not terrified. I just don't find them cute. I don't know what it is. They're just kind of, they got little rat faces.
I
Not a
tell you
fan.
what it is. Women, they have this thing where it's like if it's seriously ugly, it becomes so ugly it's cute.
Pugs? Yeah, pugs.
Pugs, pugs, definitely.
Yeah.
What are those hideous looking cats with the smashed face?
Oh,
Is it Persians? Or the ones with the, you
no,
know?
Persians have like the weird sharp faces. Uh,
Okay,
are they tat?
y'all know
No.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know
The
what you
ones
mean.
that the ones that have like the cross-eyed and their faces are smashed. I mean, they love them. It's weird.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
will never understand them.
Southwest 850s are kind of like that. Those ugly cats. I mean, west of I-35, they're pretty. Like out here, they're not good. But once you get east of 35 into eastern Kansas, Missouri, and the Midwest, they really don't make that much of a difference. I mean, if you still have strong enough difference in speed between let's say 500 millibars and the boundary layer, you're still going to get decent storms no matter what. It's all relative. And
Now, am I mistaken that that was a day that Kansas City got hit?
yes,
Okay, I don't remember if it was or not, but
yeah, it was that. There are a bunch of there's that cluster tornado reports up here.
yeah, okay. I think that's why I really remember that day too.
Yep. Well, I remember this day. Like I said earlier, like that entire stretch from May 4th to May 10th was like the golden standard of chasing. Didn't it? Granted, some of the days were in less than friendly terrain, but a lot of time it produced a lot of tornadoes in a 1 week period. I read something earlier. It said 334 tornadoes in 1 week, which was set the record at that time, and I think that record still stands for number of
Wow.
tornadoes in a week, which was insane from the 4th all the way up to that event in Illinois on the 10th. Just
300 tornadoes in 1 week. I mean, dude, that's one quarter of the 2014 season.
yeah, it's
More than a
imagine
quarter.
if we had a week like that again, like say next season, that could easily make everyone's season.
Yeah.
Like,
All chase in 1 week and be like, all right, we're good. We're gonna go home
yeah,
now.
you could see so much. It would make my life so much easier.
Yeah, a lot of those chases were not in favorable areas, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I've chased around this area down in southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri. It's really not that bad. It's a pretty mediocre area to chase. I mean, there are some trees and there are different obstacles, but it's pretty chaseable. Now we're watching a radar loop. Is this next red radar of that day, right?
yep. This is from Springfield's radar site. You can see multiple supercells. One, two, three, four. That one actually absorbed another supercell, and
Yep. You
and say
got hungry for some Taco Bell, so it just ate another supercell.
Yokier two inflow.
Yes. But yeah, well, you can see there's like a split that comes off from the south of it. You see that thing?
Yep.
Came from the south, came up and hit it like out in front of it, and it makes you wonder if that maybe some of that outflow from that storm right there came up and helped enhance that storm as it came closer to Springfield and really had a gnarly hook there.
There probably some pretty decent enhancement of Bear Clinton vorticity in that region has ingested that into its updraft. Extreme temperature differentials from the rain-cooled air from this storm being drawn into the updraft region probably aided at least a little bit in letting the storm produce a long track tornado there south of Springfield. Also, just gonna before we move on, just pull up that storm relative motion loop. We'll play. Yeah, wow. There's the Gerard tornadoes. And then down here will be the other tornado. Yep, little couplet embedded in there as it goes off to the east. Yeah, just one, two,
Yeah,
three.
yeah. A little hard to see, a little jumpy on the stream, but yeah, definitely you can definitely see those hooks there, those couplets, very strong, very prevalent couplets there on
Yep,
this.
they kept going for a long time. I mean, that Gerard storm hit one, two, three, four, five, almost 5 counties.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it
But
did go for 5 counties.
so yeah, that was a pretty crazy day. I'm not sure how many of you guys actually caught that. Excuse me, sorry. Um, I don't know how many guys that are watching actually chased that day, but I know a few guys that did chase the Gerard day, and it was quite a chase to say the least.
It's a great. That'd be an awesome day to have again. I would totally chase this day if I had the option to.
Yep, tough chase though. Like I said, storm motions were quick. That
Oh
does
yeah,
not make it easy.
just something more similarly suited for like Illinois or
Yeah,
Iowa or Wisconsin.
a tip to you newbies. All right, high risk usually means uh, storm motions are going to be ridiculous. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, so it's rare. It's rare anymore that you'll see high risks out here, out on the high plains for big tournament. I mean, it's kind of a. I won't say I don't have the best grasp on how they come up with it, but it has some population, how fast the storms will be moving, and what type of storms they will be. Will definitely plays a big part in it.
Yes. Yeah, usually storm motion, storm coverage, and population density play a major role in what severe weather risk they'll issue.
Yeah, so
All right.
or sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so let's go ahead and move on, guys. We'll go to May 10, 2003, which was later on in that week. Well, let's see, about 6 days, afterwards. Um, Another high risk there. I believe if you guys saw episode one, Skip Talbot told us about his very first chase was this high risk day, and he nearly accidentally got kind of caught inside that tornado there in Illinois. So go ahead and take it away, James.
All right, so like I said, this is kind of the end of that big long streak of tornado days from the 4th to the 10th. Another high risk out here in Illinois, west central Illinois, back into Missouri, and 25% hatch tornado risk, 50% all the way up here into Indiana, back through to Missouri. And this day was working with a very mean, fast-moving trough that had started all the way out here in Colorado, 12Z, and kind of see that nice west-southwesterly flow kind of and that jet max starting to round the base and eject out into the Midwest. By 0Z, you can see this thing had ejected rapidly, really strong mid-level flow moving through into Illinois, Missouri, and Iowa. And this day, really, there was really strong moisture present. The surface low started out all the way back here in Kansas, all the way back here, and by 0Z, it had moved up all the way into northeast Iowa. It kind of rocketed up and followed the path of that trough, and it allowed for really strong moisture advection across much of Illinois, and that warm front that had been draped kind of across this area right along here in north central Illinois lifted rapidly north and kind of arced over Wisconsin, Iowa, and into Michigan. And kind of looking some soundings. The 12Z Lincoln sounding kind of doesn't give away anything. I mean, you can definitely see there's kind of hints of turning and decent shear starting to show up here, but nothing amazing. This is probably still really close to the warm front. Kind of a weak hydrolapse, really almost saturated right here from 500 all the way up to the tropopause. But then if you move ahead here to 0Z, really, really big cape, kind of an elongated photograph with that little kink at the end of it. Decent, very good speech here. I mean, this is, almost textbook for these kinds of events further east into the Midwest. 3,900 joules per kilogram mixed layer cape, which is enormous values. And if we go
especially for the Midwest, that is quite high.
Especially for the Midwest, not in June. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of move here into surface options, just to kind of see what this event was playing with here. Early in the day, this is at 12Z. I mean, pretty decently high dew points here. You can see the warm front's kind of draped across here. You can kind of see that wind shift over here through central Illinois up to northern Indiana. And kind of stepping forward to about 13Z, or 13Z. Let's see here. So that'd be, yeah, about 16Z. That front has already started lifting rapidly north. It's kind of chilling up out here somewhere. And dew points kind of dropped a little bit, taking a hit. Surface temps hadn't really climbed out of the low 60s by this point. Surface low is still hanging out way back here. But as we step forward a little bit in time, surface temps start rising, dew points kind of level out, and surface winds by 19Z are backed out of the southeast, 73 over 63, 10-degree spread, which is pretty good. Mid 60s dew points will definitely get it done out here. And at this point, I believe at 19Z, the first storms had already gone up and were moving through. And also, just kind of something to note, the night before, a large MCS had kind of moved through. And this MCS right here, this is taken at 12Z, had kind of moved through and reinforced that warm front. That warm front was draped right across here, and you got strong convection on the south side. But as it moved away quickly, you didn't. Sometimes you'll get what's known as a wake low effect, where it kind of washes out moisture, screws the day over. But this system was powerful enough, and this return flow was powerful enough to kind of make up for that lost time. And starting here, we're at 1932Z. The first hints of convective initiation out there in Missouri. Starting up.
Yeah, that's actually quite a sight there to see all those supercells in northern Missouri and all the way down south into Arkansas
Yep.
already.
And they kind of started moving through a little bit quicker. You can see that supercell right there, 2230Z. And they start moving into Illinois. And multiple supercells here. There's probably 1, 2, 3 up here in northern Illinois. And one of these is producing a very large, kind of dangerous looking tornado. I believe it's an EF, or not EF, it was about an F4, F3 or F4. And these storms kind of move through, and as they push off, the front catches up. This turns linear down here. This kind of turns into a mess, and the day is basically done with around, roughly, it took almost a 3Z, which is a little bit after dark for that time of year, probably about an hour after dark, or a little bit more. We'll switch over some video here from this day. This is from Scott Werberfall, and it's from the Illinois side of the river as one of these supercells is crossing into Illinois. This is probably the biggest tornado of this day. It was a huge, bulky wedge. You can see that pretty decent motion on it even from this distance.
Yeah, that's really mean looking wedge. Some really good contrast too for that day.
I say it's kind of zoom out. Yeah, you can kind of see really big updraft base. Pretty actually surprisingly clear for Illinois this time. Usually with high moisture setups that far east and kind of lower spreads, you'll run into some issues with low grungy ground scraping mesocyclones, but it didn't really materialize for this day. And there's some pretty nice tornadoes. I mean, look, that's pretty amazing right there. That's a
I believe in the words of Gary England, that'd be a maxi grinder wedge.
Yeah, almost the entire tornado cyclone's on the ground.
Yeah, that's the cloud bases are really not that low at all. Or are really not that high. I mean, they're really low.
Yeah, they're probably, LCLs that day were probably sitting somewhere maybe around.
What do you think, 1,000 maybe?
I think 1,000 would be the highest. It would, like the ceiling for it.
Sorry, not 1,000. What am I thinking of? You think so you think 1,000 is about the highest they were?
Yeah, at worst. And kind of see it's starting to clear up back here. Pretty, sizable RFD. You can actually see right here at this point, there's pretty distinct. I think Skip talks about this, pretty often. Got the low level mesocyclone, the wall cloud tornado cyclone right here, and then the tornado.
Mm-hmm.
Tornado right in there.
Kind of that stair-step structure to it, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And pretty insane. Oh, horizontal vortex out here on the one side, and just insane motion all around this tornado. Kind of skip ahead here. This is after the tornado crossed the river, kind of turned into more of a stovepipe, and started moving across the countryside. And it was a decently long track tornado. It started about 2 counties west of the river, or maybe I think it might have been 3 actually, and started moving east into Illinois. This kind of big, fat stovepipe barrel tornado back here. Contrast is getting a little bit worse, but I mean it's still manageable. You can still tell it's back there. You can still see the pretty decent motion on it.
Yeah, he's probably. It looks like he's attacking it from the south.
Yep.
So that's kind of what you get. get the poor contrast coming in from the south there.
And then you
Lots
got
of
leaves
big
and
trees
whatever,
on the road. It's like, get on the road, dude. I'm busy.
whatever this guy's doing. Also, a little bit earlier in that video, that's how you pass somebody uh, when it's wet. You don't go speeding around them at like 60. You take your damn time.
Hmm.
Skip ahead here. You can kind of see the contrast has gotten a lot worse. He's kind of viewing it from a distance now.
Yeah, I believe the sun's it's getting late in the day here. Yeah.
And here's up there. Wow, crazy motion on that.
Yeah, the wall cloud right here is spinning really quickly. He does get a tornado out of it. You'll probably have to skip ahead a little bit here. By the time he gets kind of turned around, you'll be able to see it.
Here we go.
Just kind of this big meaty wall cloud. I mean, it's well, it's actually pretty compact, but I mean, the rotation in it is pretty insane. Yeah, look at this. This is what you kind of get the further north in Illinois you get. You kind of get those hills and trees.
Here's the funnel into that tornado. Like
Yeah.
actually, there are two little funnels.
Yeah, there's two funnels right here. One looks like the old one and kind of a rope out phase. But after that, I believe it's just kind of a time lapse shot.
There.
Yeah, so very potent day for Illinois, especially for early May. You usually see days like that, late May, kind of June, July time of year. And it's usually when those setups happen that late in the year too. Really grungy storms, really low contrast, high precip storms. Unless you have a setup like that where the ventilation for those storms was quite impressive.
And here, just before we move on here, here's that image of that storm crossing the river. You can see big supercell right there, and it produces a tornado and moves across the river and keeps going.
Yep. Had a lot of clean air to work with on that storm.
Oh yeah, it was a big day. All right.
So, all right, guys. So, two big high risk days. Pretty obvious targets, I think, on those 2 days. So let's go to a day that I think I was a little confused at, but a lot of people kind of missed this day. The target wasn't so obvious. Quite a big slight risk area. May 19, 2012, the day of landspouts in southern Kansas, which is pretty interesting to hear about. So we're going to go to you, James, on that.
All right. So yeah, like Marcus said, it was a big slight risk area, kind of stretching all the way from Nebraska down into western Oklahoma and into actually parts of northwest Texas. And as you see here, all these tornado reports, except for this little straggler up here in Nebraska, were centered down here in south central Kansas, in, Kingman and Harper counties. This day is particularly interesting because, I mean, you have a decently strong trough, not particularly amazing, mid-level winds, 30, 40 knots at 500 millibars with this kind of secondary impulse with the main trough and low up here. Very kind of, southwest 850s, which, I mean, you're getting kind of close to the corridor where that's not going to quite cut it anymore. Big wrap around to the surface low and kind of low level moisture. But overall, this day was very interesting from a kind of mesoscale accident standpoint. And here's the sounding from Lamont at 17Z, just south where those tornadoes occurred. And you can see here kind of a really big inversion still at 17Z. This is kind of what turned people off to this day, was that the cap was nigh but unbreakable. And, I mean, the wind profile, there's some varying in the lower levels, but nothing that would indicate, enough shear to maintain a low-level mesocyclone and possibly produce tornadoes. LCLs were a little bit over 1 kilometer, probably getting close to 2 kilometers. Modest cape, 2,000 surface space, only 1,300 mixed layer. And then just kind of stepping forward by 0Z, even then, the Lamont sounding doesn't really show anything that would make me think, there are probably tornadoes ongoing or had occurred earlier in the day in south central Kansas, but lo and behold, there were multiple tornadoes and multiple landspouts on the state. And kind of to delve into this, we kind of go over to John Davies write-up of this to kind of look at what happened this day. And what made this day so strange was you had a kind of linear multi-cell supercell storm up here in central Kansas, and as it was on this frontal boundary, this kind of arc right here, and as it kind of matured, it spat out outflow, which then intersected with this frontal boundary right here and allowed the storm to rapidly back build off to the south and kind of meet that convergence zone along the two boundaries. And as you can see, here's kind of a model sounding really high LCL, but almost no, as you note, no convective inhibition from about actually from the surface all the way up. There's very little to no sin, and almost dry adiabatic lapse rates. So about 9 degrees or almost 10 degrees Celsius per kilometer as a parcel is rising, and kind of meh winds, but still got it done. And kind of moving on here, you can see the low-level cape, the 0 to 3 kilometer cape. The entire instability axis was all along this frontal boundary, and these storms likely took advantage of that, along with the steeper plume of lapse rates right here ahead of this dry line frontal boundary as storms went up. And finally, after these storms had gone up, this map illustrates it well. You had large forecast mixed layer cape as the storm was starting to build further north. Kind of a weird hybrid storm, and then right here, this map tells everything you need to know about why these landspots happen. You had strong vertical vorticity present, ambient vertical vorticity present along the convergence zone of the frontal boundary and the outflow boundary. And what ended up happening was, as you can see in these slides, kind of a weird-looking supercell storm. And here's the frontal boundary. There's pretty slow-moving. Right here, kind of where this little spike shoots out, this is the outflow moving out of this storm. And the storm, as you can see, is starting to back build. And right when it hits that boundary intersection, it just goes bananas. And I think, Marcus, you were chasing this day, were you not? These are.
I was. First picture right there. We got some good donkeys. Brady Kendrick and Tony Prop and we were chasing that day. Had a friendly donkey come up, really curious. But yeah, we spent our days out in northwest Oklahoma. See, to me, I didn't see any difference between the northern target up in central Kansas and down in northwest Oklahoma. It all seemed relatively the same. So I just voted let's just do the closer to home setup in northwest Oklahoma, and plus it's a little better. Well, not better, but it's still really good to chase in that area. So yeah, we started the day off in Woodward, chased that storm that popped up, I believe, near the Canadian River, and kind of rode that way eastward towards Clinton. Yeah, that's near Camargo, and the storm kind of started off pretty elevated and looked kind of like crap, but as the evening wore on, the low-level jet they started ramping up, and decided it's going to put on a great structure show, especially around Clinton, Oklahoma. I think I really wish I had a wide-angle lens because it was a really great stacked plates look on the storm. It was a really nice day, though. That last picture there, yeah, great Mamatis on that storm, but that last picture was probably the best that structure looked. So
This photo actually reminds me of that October 4th, 2013, not up in Wayne, but down on the dry line just west of Clinton. That storm that put out really nice not elevated, but kind of, not totally surface-based structure west of Clinton, down further along the dry line cold front.
yeah, that was a really good structure show. Didn't sample the hail because we weren't in our vehicle, but yeah, if you go up there, you can see XL and X2 to kind of make it a little bit bigger. But it was still a fun day. We had a lot of fun. We kind of stuck to our forecast, which is something that I was still practicing at the time, and kind of what I do now. I don't really change my forecast once I figure it out in the morning. So I just get burned. I've been burned too many times doing that. So yeah, we stuck to our forecast. I mean, we were in Woodward. We could have made that play to Rego, Kansas, to catch those land spouts if we wanted to, but we decided we're gonna play it safe. We're gonna just play closer to home and stick to the target. Everyone was in agreement with the target. So, but some of the video, I believe you got there, James, is really impressive. It was a very impressive land spout tornado hybrid. Um, it was just an incredible sight. So
They were, and not all. I'm not sure if all of these were actually full blown land spouts. A lot of these look like just non supercell tornadoes that result. Well, I guess they technically are land spouts, but they were non supercell tornadoes, not developing from a low level mesocyclone, which is really interesting. It wasn't necessarily from stretching of and tilting of uh, horizontal vorticity present in the atmosphere due to extreme directional and speed shear.
yeah, and it's interesting. Those days, I've heard of them before. They've happened once up here before, where the storms kind of, you know, blow up and spit out an outflow boundary away from it, and then they kind of like back build back down the line to where the updrafts further south will end up catching up to that outflow boundary. Happened on May 23rd, 2010, near Texas, Texas, in that area. The storm was dying off, but it kind of revamped itself when it started hooking onto the outflow boundary that it spit out earlier, and it just kept building and building, and it produced, I believe, 4 or 5 tornadoes on that one storm. So, I've seen it happen before, and it's funny because I didn't really get good pictures of video that day, but I did get some, and it's really funny to see where that on May 23rd where that updraft went. It looked like a piece of crap that was dying off, and it just started breathing in all that air, and it started launching onto that boundary, and it just got bigger and bigger, and became this nice classic, supercell out there in northeast New Mexico, and ended up producing a tornado. But so what do we got here? Whose footage is this?
This is Niccolo Ubadulci's video. I probably butchered that name, and I apologize. Also, this is really cool. It's kind of near a wind farm. Big. You can see really kind of
Wind farm.
not elevated, but kind of high base
Yeah.
storm.
Yeah. Sorry, James, you were kind of breaking up there, but yeah, kind of that rear side, and I think a lot of chasers kind of dream for that shot of a tornado with the wind farm. Um, just one of those shots that I think I plan, or at least I hope to get that. It's kind of a bucket list for chasing, is to kind of see this tornado kind of roaming through this wind farm, which this one did.
It's an awesome day. So kind of a there goes one of the blades
Yeah, one of the blades are on the right side.
right there. Bye bye. I feel bad for whoever has to replace that.
Oh man, I see those trucks all the time going through town. They are massive blades, man. They're huge blades.
Yep.
That's actually pretty strong motion there for a land spout. So that's kind of why I didn't believe that it was a total land spout. Like, yeah, I think it was kind of the hybrid where there's another blade on the left falling down.
Fell
Um,
down there.
yeah, I just it's hard. I mean, it looks a lot like a land spout just because of the shape of it, and you don't have that classic big wall cloud above it with the RFD cut and everything. So
Well, it just
that's
kind of proves it. These are tornadoes that prove, or land spots that prove it. Non-supercell tornadoes are still very dangerous. They can still be very strong. I think is the biggest
yeah,
thing. Yeah. Yeah. And there you can see kind of condensation dust kind of goes away there. You can still see it, but it doesn't quite have the appearance it did.
yeah.
It's a very, very cool day to chase. Just one last video before we kind of wrap up this day here. Here it is from a distance. And yeah, typical classic landspout, perfect tube, little funnel up here. This is Bill Hark's video, and also going through the wind farm.
He was actually in the wind farm. It looks like.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see the base up there. Just not kind of that. Doesn't really have that classic look to it, but it still looked like a very strong tornado slash landspout. So
Yeah,
now,
also,
oh, go ahead.
fun fact too: these all these blades will shut down uh, for wind speeds higher. They will lock for wind speeds higher than I think a certain threshold. I'm not quite sure what the threshold is. Also, a really cool like double wall structure over here, but so they won't go spinning around wildly when a tornado moves over them. Like some people may think. I'm not sure if anyone actually thinks that, but if you
Yeah, I
do,
mean,
that
there,
won't.
there's some footage. I know there was some footage. I forgot. I think it was like, man, I don't know, somewhere in Europe where they had the locks, I guess the brakes on one of those actually broke in a windstorm, so it was spinning wildly until the blades flexed out and it cut its own pole. Like halfway down, like the blade flexed back enough to where it cut the pole and just exploded almost. It was so cool.
Oh, here it is in tornado and adjacent field, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean and this is not cut up in different time. You saw the tornado at first, kind of that land spout appearance, and it almost dissipated completely, and then it kind of reinvigorated itself, and this strong. This looks more like a tornado right here in this part of its life, and yeah, there it is. Look, just a nice tube there. So
Great day and great storm. It's very interesting to just like go back and look at this and just coming back to this radar, this boundary intersection really did it all, and it kind of helped this allow the storm to back build. I mean, the environment, yeah, poor, like he says, poor, SRH, which is the typical calling card for non-supercell tornadoes, is you won't have really high storm-related felicity values, but you really do have that strong surface vertical vorticity right ahead of that boundary, and then when it intersected with that, it just kind of the new updrafts back built right over that.
yeah, that was a very interesting day. Yeah, I was really surprised to hear about all those tornado reports, and when I saw the tornado, I was a little devastated. Now, do you have that? I know you just closed YouTube, but do you have that footage from that chase tour? Because everyone needs to see that.
Which one is it?
Oh, I can't even think of the name, but remember we saw it the other day, and it was a chase tour. They got really close to that, like they crossed the road, very close to them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't remember what tour it was, but I'm sure someone will tell me. Um, was it that? Yeah, I believe that's it, right? Yeah. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that last name. Karunis, maybe.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy last name.
Yep.
But yeah, this tornado got really close, and it's really funny to watch this video because the guy sitting shotgun is freaking out, and I mean it is not that far away. Like, I mean, what, probably a quarter mile it looks like.
If that, yeah, it's not very far down that road. I mean, you can see all the trees getting ripped up right down here.
Yeah, and I mean at one point they have to turn around because it does look like it starts wobbling back towards them.
So, and this looks more kind of like a traditional, not necessarily a landspout, but more traditional non-supercell tornado that you would assume, not for a mesocyclone, but it definitely looks less benign than a landspout.
Yeah, I mean that looks like to me that looks like a full-blown tornado. But
It really kind of reminds me of the Ellis County / Arnett tornado from May 4th, '07.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And really, really crazy footage of that. I mean, all the trees getting ripped up right there was insane. So yeah, it was big day. Really, well, not big day. It was kind of a big day if you were there. It was a nice sleeper day going into that stretch of late May days. And I think the only day that could really top it from that entire week was that lacrosse day on May 25th.
I don't talk about lacrosse.
Oh, look. Hey, there's no need to be salty. It's not like it was Campo or anything.
No, but it hurt just as bad, and I'm going to tell you why. All right.
What's that?
Story time, folks. So, Tony Prop was over here in our neck of the woods. He was chasing for a little while. Him and Brady Kendrick were chasing together, and I believe James Saller was he with us during that part? I don't think he was with us for that chase. But oh no, he was going to come on later. He was in Oklahoma City. Anyway, the whole plan we chased this day. We chased some other days, and this was after James left. That's right. So it was just me, Brady, and Tony. So Brady had to go graduate high school like he's some sort of normal high school kid. So we ended up we were doing our chasecation stuff, and we were in Springfield just to kind of visit. Then we had to drive all the way back here to drop Brady off so he can graduate and walk. And then me and Tony were gonna May 25th of 2012. We were gonna drive up to the La Crosse area. I think we targeted Russell, Kansas, or something like that, or actually just south of there, between Dodge and I-70. And so I had let Tony drive my old Nissan, just to kind of get used to it, because it was a 5-speed standard. So I wanted him to get used to it because I was like, dude, there's probably going to be a chance where you're going to drive it because I'm going to be too tired to drive. Well, when he drives it like a bat out of hell, like he stole it. He's really hard on it, right? And I was like, okay, never mind, you're not driving because you're going to break my car. Well, we were going to pick up a friend of ours in Pampa to go chase. So we left Amarillo at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on that day. We're running late, obviously. And by the time I get to Pampa, my engine is knocking bad. Like it's just tick, 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 like really loud. And I'm like, oh man, there's no way this car's. I mean, it might make it to Kansas, but there's no guarantee we're making it back to Amarillo. So we had to race back to Amarillo and hope that the engine didn't blow up. It didn't. It survived. I had to get my other car, which was my Mazda, which I don't like chasing because I didn't want to get it hailed on. And we hauled ass to Kansas. I mean, we did speeds that I'm not going to repeat, but it was not very slow. Um, and we didn't make it. We got to Meade, Kansas when the first tornadoes were being reported up north, um, way north of Dodge City. I forgot where the first ones were, but they were kind of near La Crosse, I believe.
They were they were just south of La Crosse.
So, I mean, and I was just like, we're in Meade. Those are like still 2 hours away, moving away from us. There's no way we're gonna make it. So, yeah, that was a painful thing, and Tony, I believe it was kind of your fault that you broke my car, but it was getting a lot of miles, so um, maybe it's for the better. But
Hey,
that's one of those like major equipment failures when you're going towards a chase and the engine decides it's just gonna let go. So yeah, I had to scrap that car. It's not worth fixing.
I was I lucked out because that entire stretch there, I was chasing in a Toyota 2005 Toyota Camry, which gets like 35, 36 miles to the gallon, which is just like amazing. So we didn't have to stop ever. But chasing, we made the mistake of chasing that moderate risk in Wisconsin and Minnesota the day before. That I think you guys I know sat out, and so we ended up we started in Des Moines, and as we were driving west, we stopped in Kansas City for lunch at noon. One of the other people I was with got barbecue.
Hmm.
We roll into Grape Bend around actually just as the very first storm initiates. You can see it ambling out over the horizon. We stop in Grape Bend, and all of a sudden he goes, "I gotta poop," and I was like, "What?" Like, those beans are running through me. I gotta poop. And I was like, "Dude, where are we gonna go?" And he's like, "All right, we're gonna pull into this Pizza Hut and go take a really quick crap. You can time me, and if I take longer than 2 minutes, you can yell at me when I get back." So we managed to do that in about a minute and 10 seconds. We made it back on. Of course, that first storm got really close, didn't produce, and then we obviously bailed and got all the stuff later in the night. And it was
Wait, wait,
fine.
wait, 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 wait. You're telling me he pooped in a minute and 20 seconds?
Yes,
He pooped in 80 seconds. Dude,
I timed them.
I I feel like you will tear something in your body if you poop in 80 seconds.
Nah, not if you
Like,
got the troughs, man.
dude, still, like I feel like you're gonna blow an O-ring or something. Like God, just take
Hey,
it
this is
easy,
serious
man.
business. There's storms on the line.
You know what? I want that guy as my chase partner because the last thing I need, like, I'm the worst because it does not, I don't take 80-second poops. I take some time. I got to make sure everything's right. That's, oh man.
Gotta
I,
get
I
in
didn't
your
want
own.
to, I didn't want to glaze over that detail because I'm just like, wait a minute. Did you just
Yeah.
say he took a minute and 20 seconds to poo? Oh man. Hey, you know what? At least I mean, that sucks, but at least it's not puking because I think that takes more time.
Oh yeah, easily. You gotta clean. You gotta get yourself like mentally ready after that.
Yeah, it's quite an emotional ride when you got to puke. So anyway,
All
you're
right.
done pooping at Pizza Hut. Continue.
That first storm doesn't produce. We drop it. The College with DuPage van nearly kind of ran us off the road there. These got some workouts
Oh,
during
that's
that.
that's really college education ran you off the road, man. Tell me something that's new, huh?
Yeah, I was fumed. We dropped that storm, stair step to the middle storm, kind of put out some good structure, a little funnel, didn't do anything, and then we dropped to the third or fourth storm, and it we kind of got a good glance at the distant big big ass tornado off there in the distance, right after sunset, and then we saw the one of the other lacrosse tornado, the second tornado, and then as we were going north, cut east to Hayes, and I think I've already told the story. Got a really scary, spooky ass view of the Russell tornado as it was coming up on I-70, which was pucker factor 10, man. That was just nearly yourself from fear. Because when people start slowing down, the rain and the wind pick up from your back when you're driving east. That's some scary stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's like accidental hook slice when you're driving east and all of a sudden the rain kicks up and
yeah,
you're staring into the forward flank downdraft and you just don't know what's to the south of you.
yeah. All right. Do you want to
Should we
wrap
take us
on up?
out? Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
say
take.
take it out.
All right, well let's take you out. Bye, Jake. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, hey, but
No, no,
you know what? I'm
no,
out of
no.
here.
I'm
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
here. Screw you guys. No. So thank you guys for for watching. If you guys like these episodes, we love doing them. We'll do them again, maybe next week.
Yeah.
Just give us some feedback. That's kind of what we've been looking for in these first few episodes is some feedback, whether it be comments in the archive video here, or if you guys are on Storm Track, you can always private message me or catch me in the chat room. I'm there quite a bit. So,
Yeah, and
um,
please recommend days. Please do recommend days because honestly, I'm having trouble coming up with a lot of like a list of days that I want to actually go over. So shoot me stuff because this is kind of these last 6 days so far that we've done have been kind of my ones I've been wanting to do for a long time. So hit me up with that. If we messed up on anything, let us know. Never hurts. Kind of help us along. I mean, I'm studying meteorology and I'm not even close to knowing enough of it to be definitive on anything. So if I make a mistake, just let me know, dudes. PM Marcus, PM me, whatever, and that's about it for me.
yeah, and let's figure out a name for him back here. Our
Yeah, I want to
other
name him Bitch Tits,
co-host.
but that's just my own instincts.
You what?
I want to name him Bitch Tits, but that's just my instinct.
Oh, that's messed up. I don't know. It's hard to see, but he's got my camera in his lap. So I was trying to make that more evident, but I don't know if you
In
can pick
his
that up.
lap. Yeah.
In his lap, dude. He takes pictures with his dick. I mean, come on. It's awesome like that, right? So, um, yeah, shoot me a comment or something for his name. We'll figure something out. We'll get a little vote going or something. But yeah, recommend us days. I think I have a few more in my head that we can kind of flow through for a couple more weeks. But yeah, definitely let us know if y'all want us to keep doing this because we'll definitely keep doing it. And don't forget, tomorrow we're gonna have episode 2 of the Ghost Train. We will have special guest Skip Talbot, Adam Lucio, and Jennifer Brinley will be on the show. We're gonna get a little deep and kind of dig into our emotions on the show because we're gonna talk about and try to put into words why do we chase and what keeps us coming back for more. So we're gonna really have to dig deep inside our souls there, James, to get the answer for that.
We must go deeper.
According to you, must go derper,
Let's go.
derper, must go derper. So we're gonna do that, and then I think kind of the hot button topic that has been kind of gaining some momentum these last few years is not just chasers, but the general public and people that want to be chasers or local spotters getting near or pretty much inside tornadoes. We're going to talk about how dangerous that is, why you shouldn't do it, and is there any reason justifiable to even do that? I mean, do you really want that tornado to be your last tornado to ever see? Ever? I mean, I surely don't. So, I mean, the only positive thing I can think of getting that close, James, is there's really not many chaser conversions around. It's
Oh,
pretty.
man, I mean, once you get hit with, I mean, getting hit by a ghost train. I mean, not many people want to get hit by one of those. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean that right there, the ghost train, which we kind of described in episode one, that really strong inflow jet, just little branches inside of that thing could just shatter your windows. So
Oh yeah, and you guys and they've people have heard my story about wind-driven hail in the RFD and then in the inflow jet. That shit's dangerous, y'all. Don't fuck around with that. It'll mess you up.
yeah, I believe Adam got caught in the ghost train on October 4th in the Wayne tornado, blew out one of his windows, and I mean I could think of all the times. I mean, how many windows did Andy Gabrielson lose because he got really close to that thing?
A
You know,
lot.
yeah. So and by the way, you guys are going to want to join tomorrow and watch because Adam Lucio will be talking to us. He will be telling the story that everyone loves to hear about. The stuck in a farmer's field at Bowdle on May 22nd, 2010. I cannot wait to hear that story because I heard it's awesome. And I don't think he's going to mention names because, just for personal reasons, he's not going to put names. But yeah, there was quite a scene. I mean, some people got arrested that day. So it was a very interesting day for chasers. Kind of a weird situation that everyone kind of found themselves in. So he'll be telling us about that in great detail, hopefully, and it should
All
be
right.
fun to hear and a lot of emotion there tomorrow. So we'll make sure to bring our podiums so we can speak loudly on the subjects that mean most to us. So. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and sign off. I believe we did a great show. We will be here tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Central Time with episode two. So hope you guys have a good night. Hope you guys enjoy the show. Like I said, give us feedback. That's all we
Yep.
really want right now is feedback. And then once we get really popular and way more popular than Retamer, then we don't care about your feedback. So till
Yeah,
then,
really.
though, let us know how we're doing.
Yeah, for
So
right now we love you, but after that, I mean, you can just go fuck off. But
yeah, after we get famous and make all this money monetizing crap, then we don't care. But for now, we
exactly.
do care. We care like this much, maybe this much, something like that.
This no, 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 no. Like I'm talking like midget penis levels
No,
of
no, no.
caring.
Right now, we care, and then as we get more famous, we're gonna like
Just kind of
kind of
squeeze it out.
squeeze it out. All right. So, well, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.